All right, guys. Good morning. It is a very interesting day today. You can see the S&P 500, the SPY. Good morning. It is a very interesting. Sorry for the echo. Yeah. So let me get this out of the way. Yesterday, Nvidia had okay earnings. What's driving the market up this morning is that yesterday, the U.S. Court of International Trade ruled that the president exceeded his authority by imposing sweeping tariffs under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. This decision invalidated many of the tariffs introduced on the, quote, Liberation Day, April 2nd, leading to a surge in investor confidence and a rally in global markets. You can see the S&P is up. Nvidia is still up to 150 or 140s. We'll put the NASDAQ up in a second as well. But yeah, markets are mostly up. I mean, the NQ is sitting at 21.7s right now. 21.7s. It's had a recent pullback. Nvidia had better than expected Q1 earnings driven by good data center sales. Still cautious about revenue losses due to export restrictions to overseas in China. But Nvidia stock did rise from this in after hours and this morning. It's up to 143s right now. You can see Nvidia here at 143s. Since Nvidia reacted positively to earnings, other stocks like Apple, Meta, Google experienced gains in sympathy. Collective uptick in tech contributed to the overall market rally. The court's decision on tariffs has also sparked optimism in international markets. Asian and European stocks saw significant gains, with Japan's Nikkei and Germany's DAX index rising notably, reflecting improved investor sentiment. And today we got Q1 GDP data coming out. This is the first revision of the original negative 0.3% GDP. But I think maybe like with the landscape of everything going on, if the tariffs do get recalled, so to speak, then I think maybe this is not going to be as, it's not going to reflect on this report, but we'll see how much the market weighs in on GDP today. We also have jobless claims, unemployment, and tomorrow we have PCE inflation. So a lot of stuff going on. And yeah, we're here. Yeah, they said without the write-off, it would have been like 96 cents a share EPS. Yeah, what's up, Sam? What's up, R? What's up, Keegan? K, Unreal, Moot, Sam, Wom, Trey, Ava, Robinson, Ant, Baba Pawn, Ray, Rojas, K, Alan, Smackdown, King Turtle. Well, I mean, GDP comes out today, but the tariff news honestly dropped yesterday. The question is, will this decision by the U.S. Court of International Trade stick? That's the question I have for this. Because the president, I mean, he's going to fight this, I'm sure. All right, so basically, here's the court's rationale. The court ruled that the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, IEEPA, does not grant the president authority to impose broad tariffs without congressional approval. The judges emphasized that such actions overstep executive powers and infringe on Congress's constitutional role in regulating commerce. Now, the president's almost certainly going to appeal this. That's one thing you want to understand. But in terms of the scope of the ruling, the decision invalidated the 10% universal tariffs and higher rates on specific countries, including China, Mexico, and Canada. However, tariffs imposed under other statutes, such as Section 232 i.e. national security, and Section 301, unfair trade practices. Those are going to remain. And I think something that we're going to see here is that he might pivot back and implement more tariffs under Section 232 and Section 301 instead of the IEEPA tariffs. So essentially, the decision invalidated 10% universal tariffs on and higher rates on specific countries, but the ones for national security and 301 remain unaffected. The current administration did say they announced plans to appeal this. The outcome of this appeal will determine the long-term impact of the court's decision. Again, markets are up a lot from this. They're up a pretty heavy amount. So, very interesting day in finance right now. Things are moving. Yeah, Tesla announced their robotaxi day. Is that the big news you're talking about regarding Tesla? Yeah, Tesla announced the robotaxi day. That's going to be June 12th. All right, so the India Trade Ministry officials say India and U.S. trade talks are progressing well, and they expect a good outcome pretty soon. What's up, Carl? Elon back full time. I never knew he wasn't, but I guess, yeah. Market rallies and appeals, then mother of all drops, just a game. Yeah, I mean, it is a game for sure. Yeah, Nvidia reacted really well to this earnings report. Yeah, Nvidia, very favorable reaction here. Looks good. Yeah, market's fallen down quickly for some reason over the last few minutes. Look at the SPY. I think this is driven by Nvidia mostly. All right, guys. So we are down at 142.20s here. Chat 142.20s. All right, we're at 593s on the SPY. 593s. Look at the NASDAQ break it down, though. Look, let me put this up. Let me show you. So this is a challenge account, by the way. Combine account, whatever you want to call it. But look at this. I'll put Nvidia up on the other chart. But look at this breakdown. So we're falling down a little bit. Let me see if there's news. I don't see any news that really cause this drop. Although I do see Nvidia coming down a little bit here. So you can see Nvidia dropping down some. Nvidia is dipping down a little bit. It's driving the market down with it. And so today we have GDP data. We have jobless claims, unemployment filings. So 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. This all drops in about an hour. I'll put a timer up here. Jobless claims, unemployment. We'll put a list on the bottom here. Today we have GDP first revision data expected at, I believe GDP is expected to confirm the previous reading of minus 0.3%. Yeah. So GDP quarter over quarter. Expected at minus 0.3%. Jobless claims expected at 229K. Both live at 8:30. Right here. All right, NASDAQ's starting to bounce up a little bit after this dip down here. All right, so there's the data right there. You can kind of see it. NASDAQ's falling down. We got the Bernstein 41st annual, wait, what is it? Bernstein 41st annual strategic decisions conference. On the sell side, Nvidia posts earnings price target largely upgraded as brokers look positive on the tech giants numbers. We are seeing a fallback down here though. Is it time to buy this? Let's try. I might try to buy a little bit into my challenge account, see what we get. We're going to start to accumulate. And we'll keep adding to it. Although this is a pretty big drop here. We got 5 contracts. 6 now. Now we're flat, slightly green. I'll take some off as I can. We got 3 contracts now. We'll let the rest ride, maybe add to it if we get even deeper into the green. There we go. Nice. We'll hold 2 contracts here. Maybe add a little bit more to this. Hold it break even now on the rest. We're up about $100. So we can hold this break even, see if it pushes up more with less risk. Here, let me fix my green screen here. There we go. That's better. If it breaks this bottom of the candle, I'll cut it, and yeah, we'll just get out that pretty much fat. We're up about $80 on the day, $70. So, all right, guys, let me do a poll here. Are you bullish or bearish on today's GDP and jobless claims reports? Let me know how you feel. Are you bull or bear on these? All right, guys, so here's the poll. Are you bull or bear? We got our bull here. We got our bear. Market's breaking down. I kind of want to add to this again here. We'll add right here. It's retraced enough to where we could add and then maybe accumulate on the dips. We'll try. We got a big cushion on the day now, so there's 8 contracts. I'm going to cut that. We accumulated on the dips, but I think we got a little bit too big of size. And so that when we got back to break even, there we go. That's better. All right. Nice. Add a little bit of size back here. I like this retracement. I want to see if we start to rebound back up personally, but we're nicely green on the day anyway. I guess I could add to this. This seems to get balled up a lot. There we go. We're just going to go and cut it right there. Yeah, we got the timer up. Let's put the timer here. Again, we have about 56 minutes left. Here's the timer. Where can I put this? That actually might work even better. I can stick myself right here. Look at that rebound here. So we did get the rebound we wanted. Yeah, they're filing an appeal. Again, we talked about this earlier, right? So, again, the court ruled that the IEEPA, which is the Emergency Economic Powers Act, does not grant the president authority to impose these broad tariffs without Congress's approval, or congressional approval, which is, Congress's approval. The judge emphasized that such actions overstep executive powers, infringe on Congress's role in regulating. The decision invalidated specifically the 10% tariffs on higher rates on specific countries like China, Mexico, and Canada. However, tariffs imposed under other statutes such as Section 232 National Security or 301 Unfair Trade Practices remain unaffected. The Trump admin has announced plans to appeal the ruling. The outcome of this will determine the long-term impact of the court's decision. So he's going to fight it. And my guess is if he doesn't win, he's going to pivot and then write more sweeping tariffs under the Section 232 and Section 301 is my guess. But we'll see. Let me know what you guys think will happen here. And we're going to add back here. We're being a little active today, but we're taking small risk mostly. Building up a cushion and then kind of attacking things with the cushion. There we go. There we go. Look at that bounce. Look at that entry. Yep. All right, we're up about 2 on the day. All right, looking at our polls, 63% are bullish, 37% are bearish. It's definitely optimistic news for trade if the tariffs go away short term. Others are going to argue they're not going to get the intentional, like what the tariffs were trying to do done, which is rebuild U.S. manufacturing. But still, and give the U.S. a little bit of a better deal. All right, guys. All the reasons the market is up today, 529. Yeah. We're going to do a post here kind of breaking all this stuff down. Again, honestly, Nvidia's reacting really well to earnings. And I didn't think the earnings, like, I think they could have done better. I was worried they would react negatively to this stuff, but... All right, guys, so we did get a little bounce. I don't know if I want to buy this dip here. Yeah, so yeah, we got a whole gang of stuff coming though. All right, so we made a post about this so everybody can see it. All right, we're starting to move back down and test lows here. And again, Nvidia is the driver. Nvidia down to 142s right now, 142s. Again, Nvidia shared better than expected earnings yesterday. So here's a 1 minute. Let me check this. And 5 minute looks okay too. We got to watch that as well. All right, chat. So look at this bounce. We're bouncing right here at the bottom at 677s. Remember, in 50 minutes, we got GDP. If GDP was bad, what do you guys think GDP is going to show up as? It's expected at minus 0.3%. Yeah, I mean, this isn't just from Nvidia, though, Sarah. This isn't just from Nvidia. This is from the cancellation of the tariffs. Like, you got to think about it like this, right? Like, markets are up because there's trade optimism now. Because the what was the body that did it? It was the U.S. Court of International Trade ruled that the president's sweeping tariffs were not legal and invalidated now. Many tariffs on April 2nd are invalidated now. There's some that stay though. Nvidia also reported better than expected Q1 results. In some ways, revenue was higher. Its EPS was about flat. Good data center sales, though, which is really driving the market. Still cautious about revenue losses due to export restrictions from the H2O chip to China and stuff like that, but it's still worry. Other stocks basically followed this up in momentum, as well as the tariff ruling sparked optimism in U.S. and international markets. Asian and European stocks rose big, with Japan's Nikkei and German's DAX seeing big gains as well. Today we got GDP and jobless claims, which could influence markets even more. NASDAQ has started to kind of go sideways leading into this report here. But Nvidia has been falling down some. It's now under the 200 exponential, under the volume weighted average price. Jobless claims and GDP come out at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. I'm not sure, Brad. I think it's too difficult to tell. I think one of the things, like if you're looking at earnings, and this is something I explained yesterday, and this is honestly very true, right? Very true. One of the things you have to understand regarding earnings is that earnings, stocks can move up, down, sideways, good, bad earnings, doesn't really matter. Like a company can have good EPS, good revenue, good guidance, and drop 10%. A company can have bad EPS, bad revenue, bad guidance, and rip up 20%. It doesn't freaking matter. A lot of the move is happening in the weeks preceding the earnings. And even still, the correlation between what the actual numbers show versus the reaction is not always easy and perfect. So, you got a lot of people that just gamble on earnings. They buy up call options, they buy up put options, and they get mad whenever the stock does the opposite of what they expected it to do based off of what the numbers actually showed up as. Now, generally, if a company has way better EPS, way better revenue, way better guidance, typically it's going to go up, but that's not always the case. Traders that digest the earnings reports are incredibly strict and rigid in what they want sometimes, and so I never bet on earnings. It just doesn't make sense. The only time I will bet on earnings is like an example like this. If we got a company, like a healthy blue chip company that I think is viable long term, and let's say it has good EPS, good revenue, good guidance, but it drops 15%. I might buy that up and then DCA into it after the drop, because I think that once this happens, the likelihood that it's going to go like this over the next year or two, or even better, this over the next year or two, is substantially higher. And so I got a really nice dip buy overreaction from earnings, and I've done this a lot for the past 5 years, 10 years. This is something I do pretty regularly. It makes sense. I can't guarantee anything, but that's the strategy I use with earnings. I never buy up anything ahead of earnings and hold through the earnings report, just gambling, trying to feel the rush. Nah, bro, I'm not doing that. That seems dumb. This is Econ 101 stuff. What is? Oh. Yeah, we had some. Don't we have some earnings this morning? Let me check. Okay, yeah, we got Foot Locker that came in flat EPS, missed revenue. Best Buy, BDPS, missed revenue. Kohl's, BDPS, beat revenue. Burlington, BDPS, missed revenue. Lee Auto didn't report EPS and missed revenue. CAL, missed EPS, missed revenue. Futu, I don't know what that is. Flat EPS, beat revenue. Hormel, BDPS, missed revenue. A lot of misses in revenue. Build-A-Bear, BDPS, beat revenue. Bath & Body, BDPS, beat revenue. Canadian Imperial Bank, BDPS, beat revenue. Movado, missed EPS, missed revenue. Yeah, I mean, listen. As a watch guy, just to pivot to talk about Movado. I love watches, right? I'm kind of a watch nerd, so to speak. It's hard to wear a Movado when you buy a nicer watch. It really is. You know what I mean? Because, like, I never understood this before, but, like, I have a bunch of Movados. I haven't worn them in years. I don't even know what I'm going to do with them. I might just give them away to somebody that wants them. But maybe I'll give them to Jack. But, once you wear nicer watches, it becomes really difficult to wear the Movados. I just don't like Movados anymore, you know? But I would assume Movado is going to be kind of less and less interest on it. Roivant Sciences, miss EPS, miss revenue. Royal Canadian Bank, miss EPS. And I'm not trying to sound snooty with that. I'm just being honest. but we got a lot of stuff that... Was this morning? Yeah, this was this morning. Most of these are dropped already. Pretty significant earnings release here. A lot of misses on revenue for retail, to be honest, guys. A lot of misses on retail revenue. And honestly, my X is growing pretty quick, dude. Like, we're getting thousands of views in a lot of our posts now. So, cheers to you guys, man. Give me a follow on X. We report all the breaking news. We report summaries of what's going on in markets. We report earnings, all that stuff pretty quickly. The reason we're getting thousands of views because we cover the data fast, as we do here. So, give me a follow at Beginner Trades. I appreciate it. All right, so we got Foot Locker, Best Buy this morning. A lot of these missed revenue too, man. Burlington. Still doesn't matter. I mean, with Nvidia earnings and the tariff news, stuff's still probably going to go up. I don't know if any of these are really going to be impactful for markets, but there was just an understanding. What a symbol. So we got that post out. Not Build-A-Bear. I know, man. Honestly, who knew Build-A-Bear was still around, bro? I didn't. All right, so U.S. natural gas flows to Freeport LNG's export plant in Texas on track to return and sign. Plant is heading back to full power. We had Brazilian bank lending. I don't know what it showed up as. Citi CEO says Banamex Mexico unit IPO is going to be ready by the end of this year. What's not visible regarding the clock? Somebody say move the clock. We got 40 seconds, guys. 40 seconds. That's what the clock is showing you. 40 seconds. It's literally right underneath me. Yeah, court's challenging the tariffs. Brigade? I don't know what that is, man. All right, look at the NASDAQ breaking down here again. Look at the S&P fall down right now. Look at this drop. So we're dropping down here. Let's see if these drops continue. $40 minutes. Yeah, we got 40 minutes, 39 minutes until the data releases. We're having a hard time breaking down, though. Just trying. I appreciate all the follows to Strong, Christopher, Jeremiah, all the other guys. Appreciate it. I don't know what I want to do, whether I want to buy this or not. I guess I'm going to try to buy this real quick. Let's start small. We got 2 contracts here. We'll just leave it at 2, I think. We're already up hundreds on the day, so we're not going to let this risk that, but... yeah, I gotta cut it. Still green, but less green. We'll wait now. Yeah, GDP expected at minus 0.3%. Now remember, this is the first revision GDP data. So like, okay, I'll break it down. So they have the initial estimate, which is the least accurate, most variance heavy GDP report. All right, that was last time. That's where we got the minus 0.3% number that we had last time, was from the initial estimate, which is basically the most variance heavy one. The second one is the first revision, and then we have second revision, or final numbers, I'm pretty sure. So we got initial estimate month one, because it's a quarter. This is quarter GDP, right? So initial estimate, first revision, second revision, or final number, right? So that's three. That's the 3 months in the quarter. And so that is basically, today we have the middle one. We have the first revision. The first revision to the initial estimate that we got last time for GDP, which again came in at minus 0.3%, minus 0.3%. So that is what is dropping today. And so, yeah, be ready for that. All right, NASDAQ's cracking lows again here. Look at this drop. NASDAQ's still looking very weak here. Very weak. It's kind of island music, huh? Got a little pivot back up. Let's see if the rebound sustains. We got some deep red action here. I'm wondering when this is going to start getting balled up. I appreciate it, Lewis, for the follow. Appreciate it, bro. Looking at our poll numbers here. All right, we're at 67% bullish, 34% bearish. Yeah, we're consolidating around the lows again. Let's see if we break or if we finally start to like retrace back up or something. We're right at this low again, but we keep kind of bouncing off of it. SPY still breaking down. Nvidia's plan to build facility in China panned by U.S. senators, according to the Wall Street Journal. So Rosenblatt Securities also adjusted the price target on Nvidia to $200 from $178, maintained the buy rating on Nvidia. All right, so we're in a pretty long position here on one of our challenge accounts. I'll show it, but we're almost starting to reverse here back down. I mean, we're up hundreds on the day. I want to give this one time to fill this gap, though. There we go. It's a little bit better. There we go. All right, I'm going to take half off there, just lock it in. It kind of gave me a bad fill on the rest, but we're up 430 on the account so far. What do I want to do with this last piece here? We could fill some of this gap some more. I'd like it. But there we go. So we're pretty close to flat on this last little piece now. I'm going to go ahead and cut this right here. I don't want to lose more. Up about 4. Again, we got GDP data in about 32 minutes here. 32 minutes. We got about 1,000 here already. Yeah, bond yields. Let's take a look at bond yields. We're day trading, we've been day trading most of the day, but yeah, look at bond yields right now. So bond yields currently over 4.5% as we speak. Here's the current bond yield story. Again, here's bond yields as of now here, and you can kind of see they've had an interesting couple days. Mostly been moving up though, although they are down a little bit this morning. They're mostly flat this morning. They're basically flat. So we're right around where we opened up this morning. At about 4.5%. But something that you see, we've been moving up. Bond yields have been heading higher over the last 48 hours or so. So yeah, bond yields higher. Over 4.5%, still pretty high objectively, or pretty high on average, I should say. Yeah, bond yields are still up from the Moody's downgrade, tax cut legislation. The tax cut bill is projected to add 3.8 trillion to the national debt over the next decade. Weak Japanese bond market, so a 40-year Japanese government bond auction recently experienced the worst demand it's seen in nearly a year. People are worried about shifts in long-term bond appetite. Develop has influenced treasury yields on the upside. Bond vigilantes influence. So investors often turn bond vigilantes are demanding higher yields to compensate for risks associated with government borrowing and inflation, leading to a rise in bond yields. There's seen as reduced demand for long-term bonds. Recent auctions, particularly for 20-year, have seen pretty bad demand, indicating hesitancy. People are worried about inflation as well. The potential for tariffs and increased government spending has led to high inflation fears, prompting a sell-off in bonds and a consequent rise in the yields because they inverse each other. Markets are mostly breaking down today, though. I mean, we're kind of dropping all day. In our other challenge account, we got into a little trade here. I'll show you it. It just turned on us though. Let's see if we can pop up a little bit more. We're slightly green now. There we go. I'll take 2/3 of it off. Or I'm gonna take 40% of it off. There we go. Nice. We can let the rest ride. We'll hold this break even now and just try to see if it pushes up more. We're trying to catch a bottom, but we're getting out quick because I don't want to get stuck in a worse turn. There we go. All right, I'm going to take half off up here. I don't want to run into this resistance here, but we'll just cut the rest. Get out green. Green's good. I wonder if we're going to... Let's draw some levels here on the charts too. I mean, I think we got to look at this level here, previous low. We got to look at 7 right here, 21.7. Yeah, so 7.5. Let's see if 7.5 acts as some resistance now. We're getting pretty close to it. Nvidia bouncing a little bit too. So look at Nvidia. Nvidia's bouncing right around this 142 level. I am day trading futures in the futures market. I am day trading on Top Step X on a challenge account. So, I mean, look at this level hold, but this is just a challenge account. I'm green, but we'll trade our funded account a little bit later. Yeah, I mean, we're just, again, I don't want to take too much risk, in all honesty. There we go. I think that's pretty good here. All right, so we're moving back up to test 675s. But again, if you want to check out Top Step, great way to help support the channel. People like hate, but the reality of it is, if you want to learn to day trade, you got a couple options. None of them are very good unless you use a funded account program, right? So like you got the option of depositing 5, 10, 20, 30 grand and risking that for your first day trading account. You're probably going to lose that. Let's be honest here. You got the option of just straight up paper trading, but it doesn't teach you how to trade under risk. It doesn't teach you how to trade under pressure. That's not really that good either. I think this is the best middle ground option for traders to learn day trading. And if you're good enough or you don't have that much money and you want to get funded, you can take withdrawals, fund your own account if you're good enough. If you're not good enough, you lose much less than you normally would funding your own account and losing that 5, 10, 20, 30 grand. And so most day traders lose, especially in their first year. And so why would you ever fund your own account in the first year and just give it to the market trying to look cool? Instead, Top Step, they give you a 50K demo. They test your skill with it. If you could pass the test, they fund you. If you fail, you only lose what the monthly subscription is. The base one is $50 a month. If you pass the test, you get a 50K funded account. You got to make 3K in profit to pass it without losing 2K, following their rules, a reasonable ratio. If you do it, they fund you. No PDT rule. You can day trade the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Dow, the Russell, gold, some currencies. Great way to learn. And if you fail, you're out $50 for the base one. So it's the best of both worlds, right? Now, if you do get funded, there's an activation fee and there's some other stuff. But just trying it and learning how to trade under pressure is pretty useful for Top Step. Most day traders lose, and so it doesn't matter what course you take, who you follow, most day traders are going to lose. This is a lot cheaper option, and they've paid out hundreds of millions of dollars. They fund thousands of traders. It's just a really good way to learn how to day trade. But again, I'm biased because I get paid by them. Some would say top 3 most biased person ever. Understand all this stuff on screen. Oh, wait, let me fix this. Understand all this stuff on screen. I can't guarantee anything. I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose money. Always make your own assessment. Trade smart. I can't do anything. I'm not liable if you lose money. Don't copy me. Not an investment professional. Understand CFTC 4.41. All right. Let me fix this. I feel like I messed up my screen somehow. Okay, that's pretty good. Hold on. Yeah, that's pretty good. Maybe reduce this so you can see the symbol. Yeah, that's pretty good. All right, look at this breakdown. Something just happened in stocks here. And again, we're going to put the link up in chat as well as pin it to the top of the page. If you want to check it out, there's the link pinned at the top of the chat. Let's see if anything just happened in markets, guys. White House economic advisor Hassett says he is confident in success of tariff ruling appeal, according to FBN. So I'm wondering if this is what's tanking markets. Again, White House economic advisor Hassett says he is confident in success of tariff ruling appeal via FBN. This just dropped, chat. This just dropped. This might be what's weighing markets down. This dropped 1 minute ago, and 1 minute ago we had a big turn in market. So I guess investors are worried that if the appeal reverses the ruling, we're still gonna have tariff woes, is what I'm guessing here. This is what it looks like to me. But I think that's what's going on right now. Again, Hassett says he is confident the tariff ruling appeal is gonna work. So markets are down. We have 25 minutes, 24 minutes. So it's a day trading combine, so you can't hold it overnight up to me. And there's a max loss and there's other rules. I would check with them and confirm with them, but yeah, there's some rules. Yeah, so Hassett says he's confident. All right, guys, markets are down. Do I want to short this now? I'll try. Two contracts. Kind of scale in here and play with it a little bit more. I'll take 3, maybe 4, and that's it. Not gonna add any more to it. Too risky. I should probably let it pop a little bit more and attack a resistance level here, but it's all right. I want to see if it retraces. That's a retracement. Looks good. I'm going to reduce half the size here and just take the little small loss from that just to protect. Even if I'm right, I think like risk management wise, it's smarter to do that whenever. Like if we go against me a decent amount and then retrace back to my level, in order to avoid bigger losses, I think cutting it and protecting and maybe limiting size in that situation makes sense as a risk management tool. And that's something that you'll see me do a lot, where if we go against me and then retrace back to where I can get out mostly even, I'll reduce size. And I think that makes sense, you know, even though we're now green, but still, I'm still not mad I did it. I think it's necessary. We did get that big, look at that. All right, we're going to cut it right there. So beautiful trade. We got out really nicely there, but I think we managed it right. We did get the big rejection back down though. All right, Hassett says that tariff ruling will not affect ongoing trade deals. Expects more trade deals in the coming weeks. 3 trade deals were ready for the decision as of last week. Hey, what did Jensen say during the Mad Money interview yesterday? All right, so we're still testing lows. Somebody's asking why would I short there? Because the momentum's on the red side now because of the catalyst that just dropped. You know, the ruling getting appealed basically reverses, if it does get appealed, which it hasn't yet, but they say they're confident it will. That essentially reverses all the optimism overnight and could drag the market down like we're doing right now. You know. I mean, you can kind of see that I was correct. Why are we falling down now? Because they think that the trade deal is going to get appealed. Or the reversal of the tariffs are going to get appealed. Yeah, we got some stuff this evening. Where's Bitcoin at right now? Bitcoin's up a little bit today. It's at 108s. Still got a ways to go, but it's up. All right, we're at 630s now. Still looking weak. Okay, gotcha. Trade deals are bad. This is good news. I don't think trade deals are bad. I think trade deals are good. I think the market gapped up overnight for a couple reasons. One of them is because the the U.S. Who was it? I keep forgetting the name of this. The Court of International Trade made a decision to block most of the president's tariffs, and this marks a big legal development, but its permanence remains uncertain. The court ruled that the IEEPA does not grant the president authority to impose broad tariffs without congressional approval, and judges emphasized that such actions overstep executive powers and infringe upon Congress's constitutional role. It invalidated the 10% universal tariffs and higher rates on specific countries like China, Mexico, and Canada. However, tariffs imposed under other statutes remain, like Section 232 and Section 301, which is unfair trade practices. Basically saying that they're going to appeal and they think it's going to stick, or they think it's going to work, the appeal is going to work, reverses the optimism that we got from that specific catalyst that we just talked about. And so once people heard that the tariffs might get reversed, the market gapped up a pretty significant amount. And so if that reversal is appealed and that appeal sticks, people are less optimistic regarding trade. And that is kind of the negative reaction that you see just now. That's kind of what we're seeing. So that's where we're at. Nasdaq's rebounding. Still in a pretty deep downward trend, but so China's DeepSeek is rolling out AI updates as competition gets deeper. DeepSeek, the AI startup from China that sent shockwaves through tech earlier this year, updated its reasoning model with new releases by other tech companies as they vie for an edge in the fast-growing industry. DeepSeek unveiled a new version of its R1 reasoning model called R10528 on a developer platform Hugging Face overnight. There was no post about the news on its official account, but yeah, they updated that. DeepSeek, a lot of people say DeepSeek is very good, especially in terms of like programming stuff. So, more news in tech. Yeah, Nvidia's up from their earnings, which were kind of mixed, I would say. Like a lot of people said they missed EPS beat revenue, which is kind of true. It depends on which metric you look at it, but it's kind of true. We also have, but they did beat revenue, and they had mixed guidance, and then they had good data center segment. That's what's driving them up, is the data center segment, as well as the quote in which if they didn't have the H2O chip restrictions, they would have been at 96 cent EPS. Versus what did they show up at, 80 cents or 81 cents or something like that. Yeah, if you hear people talking about taco trades, what they're referring to, there is a acronym among investors and analysts that stands for Trump always chickens out. It describes a recurring pattern observed during the president's administration where he would announce specific things like aggressive tariffs that initially scared markets, only to later retract and soften these policies in response to economic and market pressures. Right, so if you hear somebody talk about the taco trade, that's what they're referencing, is basically the first reaction is muted eventually. I'm not saying I agree with this. Again, I'm not criticizing anybody. I'm neutral with this stuff. People get so emotional about it that me just covering news they get mad about. But I'm very neutral. I don't care about any of that stuff. All right, guys. Hey, we got 13 minutes left. Or about 12 minutes, I should say. I like my music better. This is just the generic playlist. I like my music better. So I'm going to switch it. All right, guys, we got GDP dropping in about 11 minutes, expected at minus 0.3%. Jobless claims dropping in 11 minutes, expected at 229K here. About 11 minutes left. Barkin is supposed to be speaking at 8:30 as well. We got pending home sales later on this evening. But tomorrow's day is absolutely massive as well. Like tomorrow we got PCE, University of Michigan data, all kind of stuff tomorrow. So just be ready. Next week we got like ISM services, JOLTS, non-farm employment, jobless claims, unemployment, non-farm payrolls, U.S. trade deficit, non-farm productivity, ISM services data, and more. So it's honestly a pretty busy week. And then I think the next week we have inflation. CPI inflation data the week after that. So the next few weeks, next 2 or 3 weeks are pretty busy in markets. So just be ready. I'm going to buy this dip, I think. We're extended enough at the bottom range. I might add up to like 4 or 5 micros. All right, we got 3. We got a cushion that we can play with here. I'm going to leave 3 in it for now. I'm not going to add to it. Maybe I should have added to it. Look at that. Pop. All right, we'll add a little bit to it now. I'll take 4. Little whippy though here. I'm gonna reduce my size just a little bit. Take 3 and just try to. I'm trying to let a long-term play out here. I'd like 75 up there. If I get 75, I'm happy with that. But Goolsby speaks at 1040. I feel like you say neutral, but you lean a little more one way with your verbiage. I mean, honestly, dude, I'm very neutral. I agree with some of the stuff the president does, and I disagree with some of the stuff he does as well. I'll probably have to cut this now. It turned on me too quickly here, I think. Like, I want to give it a second, to be honest, and we're up $200 on the day, so this $60 loss is pretty small. But that's a big red candle here, and I just don't want to get stuck in more red momentum. So I think I just got to cut it right here and wait and chill and find a different strategy here. I mean, but no, I really am very neutral. Again, I agree with some of the stuff. I disagree with some of the stuff he does. It's not really something in which, like, I'm super biased either way. I like some of his policies and I dislike some of his policies. And ultimately, like, I'm a capitalist, right? I think capitalism is the only way to do things. I think anytime, like, I feel like you got all these people that push for something outside capitalism. And yes, we have some socialistic structures in the U.S., and I understand that. But I feel like people don't look at it objectively. right? Like, I think if you look at any instance of like a deep socialist structure or a deep communist structure, like communes are cool and all when there are a couple people involved. But when you start to get hundreds or thousands or millions of people involved in a commune, people feel less part of a group. They start to care less about the group in general because there's so many freaking people, and they start ultimately corruption reigns and problems happen. And that's the same thing like with socialism in the same context. I would much rather here. So I'm in a trade on my other account here. Let me show you guys. I would much rather, I'm going to take half of this off right now. I would much rather people earn, like at least with capitalism, people earn their positions for the most part, right? Now, yeah, some people inherit them and stuff like that. For the most part, you can go out there and earn your position in capitalism. In other forms, a lot of times they're just blindly given power, and so they don't respect the power enough, and it ends up just causing even more problems, more corruption. And yeah, there's going to be corruption regardless, but point is, I'm a capitalist, and if you trade stocks or futures, you're a capitalist too, regardless of whether you want to be one or not. Outside of that, you know, like I said, I agree with some of the stuff, I disagree with some of the stuff he does. I'm not really super weighted towards either side. I really am not. I'm very neutral. I'm in the middle anyway. In terms of policy, I'm pretty middle ground. Yeah, I'm not one of those people that root for my politician like he's my football team and everything he says I agree with and everything he goes against I disagree with too. Like, I'm not one of those guys. And again, I think the more radical you get on either side, the less reasonable you are, you know. But you know, it's all love, guys. It doesn't matter. All right, so we're riding this up nicely here. Somebody said this is the first green trade you've seen me make. I'm green on literally every account that I'm trading today. So this is the first green trade. You're not paying attention. We're up 107 ticks on this one. I'm going to go ahead and take that off too. So that account we're up 712. The other account we're green on too. So we did get this nice little rebound here. Yeah, I mean, on the account y'all see right now, we are up. What are we up today? We're up $714.50. The other account, we're up about 100. So. I mean, so somebody said it's not a black or white issue whether you want socialism, communism, or capitalism. It's capital. It's how capitalism serves society rather than a total free-for-all, which doesn't work either. I mean, I would disagree with you. I think if you look at the United States, regardless of what people say, and people end up following the news and all this stuff, the U.S. has a very high standard of living objectively, right? Regardless of anything else, very high standard of living. We have some of the best doctors in the U.S. We have some of the best, like, the stuff we have, even people that would be considered poverty here in the United States are going to be living very good relative to a lot of other places around the world in which people try to get into the U.S. basically regularly. People want to go from their country to the United States, right? And there's a reason they want to do that. And so to say capitalism doesn't work because there's corruption or because there's problems, I disagree. I think there's going to be a lot more corruption in other forms. Like, without question. And I think people get unhappy because, you know, they're unhappy or they're unsuccessful with their stuff, right? And so then they end up just blaming the entire realm of capitalism. But I think either way, you're going to be pretty freaking unhappy. At least in this way, you got the chance to work your way out of it. And again, it's all love here, you know. Well, we won't get too deep into it, but trolls help with the algos, maybe. All right, guys. So look, let's watch 675. No, I agree with our medical system. Again, I go by policy. I think we should have. I think college should be free to an extent, just like the rest of the world, and adopt the world standard. I think the educational system has gotten way out of control and charges way too much. Same thing with the medical system. I agree with the revamp in the medical system as well. I think insurance companies are super sketchy and have grown way too large and have too much power over things. And so I would agree with you guys there in terms of like a revamp for that type of stuff. GDP news drops in 45 seconds, chat. 45 seconds. We got about 2,000 viewers here. 2,000 viewers. Minus 0.3% is what's expected. We got jobless claims unemployment at 229. Jobless claims unemployment is how many people are filing for unemployment week to week. It's a more up-to-date look at the unemployment section. We also have GDP. Last time showed up at minus 0.3% for the initial estimate. Today's the first revision, the revision of that previous minus 0.3% data release. We have 20 seconds. Hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you're fully caught up on this stream. We appreciate the love. 15 seconds. You can also put it in 2x speed to make sure you're caught up. But again, we got 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Here's the GDP and jobless claims report. All right, guys, market hasn't responded. GDP minus 0.2% revised upward. Minus 0.2% revised upward versus minus 0.3%. Jobless claims came in at 240,000 jobless claims. 240,000 versus 229 expected. More people filing for unemployment expected. It's making the market react kind of negatively here. But GDP was slightly revised upward at minus 0.2%. Minus 0.2%. Again, 240K for jobless claims. Minus 0.2% for GDP data. So GDP a little bit better. Jobless claims decently worse than expected here. More people filing for unemployment week to week for jobless claims unemployment. Again, GDP minus 0.2%. Jobless claims. Again, GDP was revised to minus 0.2% versus minus 0.3% expected. Jobless claims initial came in at 240K versus 229K expected. All right, guys. All right, market is reacting very positively to this update. Again, minus 0.2% versus minus 0.3% expected. Continuing claims showed up higher than expected. Initial claims showed up higher than expected. Again, GDP deflator prelim showed 3.7% versus 3.7%. GDP second estimate quarter one showed up at minus 0.2%. We'll put this up on screen here, chat. But again, the jobless claims number is a little bit scary, but we are bouncing back. Interesting. Here, we'll put this up on screen. The initial claims is what scares me. Much more people filing for unemployment with 240 versus 229 or 230 expected. Previous was 227. So, that's what scares me. a little bit higher unemployment filings than expected. And that's a more up-to-date look at it. Here, I'll put this here. There you go. Market likes it, though. Market's bouncing back. Yeah, so we got GDP. All right, guys, we're up to 675, 680s, SPY at 593s, Nvidia at 142s. Markets are mostly reacting positively to this report, though. So markets are mostly up on this report. I'm guessing maybe the revised GDP number. People might want rate cuts as well. So like a higher unemployment filing count means that we got a greater chance of rate cuts. Let's take a look to see the rate cut odds still at 98 to 2%, basically 98 to 2%. Here's the rate cut odds for next month. 98 to 2% likelihood of a rate cut in May. We can also look at 10-year yields because remember, interest rates and yields follow each other. So maybe we're going to have lower yields on this report because economic weakness with jobless claims. And yeah, so we got lower yields, which signals a higher interest rate or a lower interest rate sentiment. So look at yields dip down under 4.5% now on this report. Nvidia is bouncing back. I'm going to end this poll and then ask people. All right, we'll leave the poll actually like it is. Markets are up, honestly. I don't know what I want to do here. Yeah, June we're probably going to pause, almost certainly. It's looking like September, so we're going to start to get rate cuts. But that's going to depend. And listen, guys, I appreciate the love. Thanks so much. We got 2,000 people still watching. We are going to trade live at the opening bell every single day right here. Hit the subscribe button. I appreciate you joining me for these data releases. You know, we cover all these every single day. Tomorrow we have PCE inflation data, which is arguably a much bigger metric than today's GDP report. Still a very relevant report today. But GDP being revised upward is good. I think even in the context of the tariff deals going through, people think we might have a little bit better. It's still negative, right? So again, just to put this into perspective, in order to technically be in a recession, you need 2 consecutive losing GDP quarters. And so if next month's GDP report finalizes this negative print, and then the next quarter we get a negative print, we are officially in a recession if that happens. Now we'll see, but in that regard, we're officially in a recession if that happens. So we are starting to find some support here at 21,675. Also, guys, check out Top Step. Again, if you want to learn to day trade, do not fund your own account risking your own money. Tens of thousands of dollars, 5, 10, 20, 30 grand. You'll probably lose it. Let's just be real. I lost it when I first got started. I thought I was going to be a genius day trading prodigy savant. I thought I was going to be like the robot guy from Grandma's Boy, but a day trader. Instead, I just lost 5 grand within 3 weeks, 4 grand within 3 weeks. Was pretty unhappy about it. 3 grand was a lot of money to me at the time. It made no sense to risk that much in the beginning. Carol tried to talk me out of it. I lost it anyway. And so do not fund your own account risking your own money day trading in the beginning. Instead, try a funded account program. Top Step's the most legit. They give you a 50K demo. It's $50 a month. Much more reasonable amount. That's your risk. It's $50 a month. If you can pass their test, you got to make 3K in profit on a 50K demo without losing 2K first. Following their rules, a reasonable ratio. They fund you 50K, 90% split. Prior to that split kicking in, you get to keep your first 10K in profit. That's very similar to funding your own account. If you fail, you're out $50. It's the best of both worlds. And learning how to trade in a structured environment like that just makes sense. Beautiful way to learn. you got some pressure, but not the full extent of risking thousands of dollars of your own money per account. It just doesn't make sense. But again, I'm biased, but they've paid out hundreds of millions. They fund thousands. Beautiful way to learn. And if you're good enough to pass it, you get a 90% split anyway. It's similar. You can day trade the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Dow, the Russell, gold, some currencies I think as well on there, but you want to confirm that with them. But again, they're an affiliate of mine. I'm biased. I get paid by them. So top 3 most biased person ever in the world. If you want to check them out, here's the link. Great way to help support the channel. Not an investment professional. Understand CFDC 4.41. Hypothetical or simulated performance have limitations. Don't copy me. Anyways, guys, we are starting to break down quickly here on this report. Maybe it's like one of the first move is the wrong move situations here. All right, chat. Yeah, I mean, there's an activation fee once you're funded for sure, but that's pretty industry standard. All right, so we got a little retracement here. I kind of want to short this little pop. Let's see. I'll try it. We'll have 2 contracts here. There we go. Looks good. We're up 27 ticks, 29 ticks, 30 ticks. We'll take half off there just to lock it in. Break it down a little bit more here. You'd love to see it. I'm going to go ahead and cut it down there. We're up about 750 on the day. But John, you never make money, bro. That's the first green trade you made. Y'all get out of here with that. Just nonsense. There's no commissions, Rob. Tiny amount of fees per contract, right? So 0 commissions, tiny amount of fees per contract. Or if you use Top Step X specifically. If you use Top Step X specifically. It depends on where you live, Helen. I'm pretty sure you can, but you want to confirm it with them. I'm not 100% sure. All right, so we got big red action. The reason I shorted this is because we broke under this pretty big resistance or support level that we had confirmed a bunch at. And so once we break underneath it, that kind of opens the green light to short it down to this low. I didn't quite hold it that long, but like that was the logic of the trade. Will we keep breaking down? Do y'all think we're going to keep breaking lows here? Or do you think we're going to rebound back up and just range sideways into the opening bell in 45 minutes? Let me know. Keep breaking down or bounce back? Let me know in chat. What do you guys think? Nobody F's with a loin? I got to look up the definition of a loin. The part of the body on both sides of the spine between the lowest ribs and the hip bone. I don't know. I'm still confused by that definition. Of course he meant lion. I just got to mess with him. All right, guys, GDP has showed up at minus 0.2% versus minus 0.3% expected, previous of minus 0.3%. Jobless claims, 240,000. This is how many people are filing for unemployment week to week. Showed up at 240 versus 230 expected, or 229 on my end. Previous was 227, so higher than last time and higher than expected. Jobless claims, more people filing for unemployment week to week is what happened. And the market originally bounced up and just turned back down to the downside. The growth has been really fun, though, man. So I appreciate the love here, chat. We had over 2,000 here. Yesterday for Fed Minutes, we had like 5,000. For Nvidia earnings, we had like 6,000 people watching. So thanks so much, man. I appreciate the love. It's been really fun to join the stream. We get some trolls and haters, but honestly, it's genuinely a good community. And it really goes to show that you can grow on YouTube telling people you have no freaking idea what you're talking about. And it works. It works. Listen, top 3 least knowing what I'm talking about trader in the world right now, and the growth feels good, man. It feels good. Appreciate the love. Thank you, guys, and girls, you know. Yeah, last night I was ready to end the stream, though, bro. I streamed for way too long yesterday, so we're bouncing at these lows. I'm gonna put it right here. I like to make my levels in $quarter ranges, or quarter hundred ranges technically, but quarters, 25, 50, 75, whole dollar, you know. Also, top 3 most knowledgeable ever in the world. Hey, we respect the honesty. Thank you. Haters gonna hate, ballers gonna ball. Yeah. I always assume the haters are just mad. Like, they're just mad. You know, they're just not doing anything, and so they're just mad about it, you know. Yeah, the X is growing pretty quickly too, man. Like, we've been getting hundreds of thousands of views per post now on X, so that's fun. $3K viewers yesterday. You know, it's really easy to show this. Wait, is the president speaking right now? I hope he's not. You know. Oh, let's see. Metrics. Maybe I have to go to the live section. All right, so we got a bounce right there at 625s. All right, chat. Look at this rebound back up. We're at 650s now. Let's see if 650 interacts with it. Yeah, no, like I said, I remember the metrics we had. For the Fed Minutes report, we had like 4,900 concurrent viewers, right around 5K. I mean, you can look at that stream and see that total for the Fed Minutes report, we got like 37,000 views, give or take. The Nvidia earnings, we got a little bit over that. We got like 5.8 thousand concurrent viewers when the Nvidia earnings released specifically. And then the actual call got a little bit less, but that's pretty standard. People don't stick around for the call. The bigger reaction is usually when the earnings come out. Any reports later on today? Not really. Tomorrow we got a bigger report. We got PCE inflation. Core PCE is the big one. So we asked people, and people ended up... some people said we'd rebound up, but... we kind of got a head and shoulders pattern here that I almost want to short right now. Let's try it. We'll start it with 1. See if we retrace back down to the lows. That's what I'm looking for. There we go. We added to it, but I'm gonna add 1 more here and just leave it with 3. And if it goes against me, we'll just cut it. All right, so Navarro reiterates the president's stance on initial measurement against China imports. Yeah, I'll let it test this top of the range, but we're pretty close to cutting this now. Yeah, we got to just cut that one. All right, we're still up about 700 on this account today. I didn't mind the little head and shoulders pattern down here, but now that it's moved up here, it might reject some of this resistance. It also could go up there, though. We got 650 underneath us, too. I think that's one of the things that I should have focused on. Let's see if it holds. I think I could have held this and maybe gotten some more money. I might try to attack this again. Let's see. A little bit larger size. Now, we got a big cushion on the day that we could play with, so we'll see if we get a fall back down here. I don't know whether I want to add to this or not. There we go. I'm going to take 3 contracts off of this just to protect it, since we're back break even. There we go. That's better. I think I actually got out green on those. Oh, I added to this. Oh, that's what happened. I accidentally added to this. Honestly, we're going to take some off here. I mean, adding to it worked down there. So I guess we'll sit in this now. That's what happened. I forgot. I clicked the wrong button, but that's okay. There we go. I want to see if it keeps retracing back down, but there we go. I'm going to cut another piece up there. And we're getting out the rest break even on this big rebound. So green trade for sure there. We made money on that one. Kind of whipping back and forth though. Like the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 minute range has been very flat and neutral. Looks like we got out just in time here too. That's the range. Did we get some news that just came out? It's 8:52 market time. Let me see. All right, so Navarro says we have a strong case the current administration have a number of different options on trade. Like I said, personally, he said courts are getting in the way of the president's agenda. He said trade deals are going to happen. Nothing has really changed. There's no question there is an economic emergency. So that's Navarro recently speaking here and stuff. Something just happened in which the market's rebounding back up. Let's see if there's any breaking news. Hold on. He said CBO is historically bad at estimating tax bill impacts. Yeah, I'm just gonna put Jonathan in timeout. He's just being a little bit too antagonistic. Good day to you, sir. Again, Navarro reiterating a couple different things. Most of this big bounce up is news related, and he said we have a strong case. The current administration has differing opinion on trade. I also see some news that just came out that says the supply of 5 North Sea crude oil grades underpinned dated Brent benchmark to an average of 565 barrel per day in July. Yeah, I mean, again, the easiest way to put it is that if I'm up $700 on the day, and somebody's waiting for me to lose and then criticizing the losing trades, they're just looking to criticize for whatever reason. Maybe they disagree with me on something else and they just can't really control it, so they're just kind of lashing out. That's usually what happens. In the end, good day to him. But I gave him a 24-hour ban. Hopefully he cools off a little bit and just kind of relaxes. I've said it once, I'll say it again. If you're sitting around waiting to critique my trades, you're just going to get banned. You know, there's no point in having that. All right, guys. Yeah, PCE tomorrow is big. That's a big report. Anyone who's mad. Yeah, I mean, it's funny just because it's like, look, dude. We're green on the day. And something that you see is like on YouTube, for whatever reason, people are just weird. Like this is your profit graph, silence, and then you get this, you suck. You know what I mean? So it's like silence here. When you have a losing trade, you suck. You know, like this is the nature of YouTube right here. And this is why I try not to talk about politics, because you got some people that are just so wrapped up in it that if you say one thing, like honestly, bro, both sides would probably dislike me if I said how I really feel about things. You know what I mean? But some people are so wrapped up in it. They're so emotional. And I think it has to do with just how gullible are you? How susceptible are you to marketing? If you're super susceptible, you're going to like ride for your side and all this different stuff. Like, I don't care about any of that, man. Like, and again, it makes me not want to talk about politics, and maybe I shouldn't, because somebody's going to get mad and then they're going to just sit around waiting to find something to get mad at me about. Y'all are like my therapist today. I'm just venting to you guys. Y'all are my therapist. Top 3 therapists in the world right now. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Cheers to you. But anyways, back to the market. Market sideways rangy. They probably blew their account YOLOing. Maybe. I just want the market to go up. I want the market to go up too, honestly. Like in general, I want the market to go up. I don't want the market to go down. I'm not one of those guys either. You just described marriage. Yeah, I guess that's true. No, you can't copy my trades. I don't want you guys to copy my trades. Honestly, the head and shoulders pattern is kind of working, but like you got to put up a longer term chart to see it. Like I have a bunch of charts. I have a 5-minute chart up in the background. Here's the little mini head and shoulders pattern that I'm talking about. Here's the head, shoulder, shoulder. You know, head and shoulders. You know, that's the pattern I'm talking about. It's a bearish pattern, implying that we might come back down a little bit. I'm not saying we will. Not an investment professional, not liable if you lose money, but that's the pattern I'm talking about. All right, guys, we got 30 minutes left until the market opens. Let me change this. I think I forgot to change the name of my stream, right? Yes. Hold on. Let me. All right, let me get this out the way. John, why not? I want money too. Well, because I have no idea what I'm talking about. I might be wildly wrong about anything I say. And so if you copy me and you lose, you might cry about it. And then I might get, you know. And so I don't really want to. I don't want people to copy me anyway. That puts too much pressure on me to succeed. I don't even claim to be a good trader here, guys. Like that's anybody critiquing my trades is kind of missing the point of this, right? I'm just trying to let people understand economics and trading through markets. Like we're covering data, we're covering the market news. People tune in mostly to get like an up-to-date look at what's going on in markets, economics. My trading, you can like it or dislike it. It doesn't freaking matter, you know. But I certainly don't want people to copy me. This is my disclaimer. Remember, I'm terrible and have no idea what I'm talking about. Maybe wildly wrong about anything I say. It's entertainment only. Don't copy me. Sometimes I trade. Sometimes I lose off stream. You might not see it. Not an investment professional. You guys are baiting him into a plug. All right, so the SARB forecasts inflation and growth views cut for 25 and 26. All right, so SARB. Again, SARB forecasts inflation and growth views cut for 25 and 26. That's the South African Reserve Bank. Again, stick around, guys. We are going to be day trading live here. Hold on. Let me get rid of some of this stuff. GDP, jobless claims. All right. Yeah, so we're bouncing back up here. We're very choppy on a 5-minute chart. We're not really doing much. Bitcoin's still at 108.5s. 108.5s. Is the minus 0.2% versus expected minus 0.3% mean the numbers came in better than expected? Slightly better. Yes, slightly better. So this is how GDP works. They have the initial estimate, the most variance heavy, the original estimate for the quarter. Then in the accompanying months, they update it twice more. They do the initial estimate and then 2 more updates to the finalized version, which is going to be next month, right? So first month, initial estimate. Second month, which is today, right? Revised number. It was revised from minus 0.3% to minus 0.2% for GDP. So it was slightly revised better. Next month, we'll get the finalized version. And if it's negative, we're on our way to a recession. We're halfway there. We need 2 consecutive losing GDP quarters to hit a recession. So if it's revised, you know. We'll see. Let's bring up the elephant in the room. What do you guys think quarter 2 GDP is? What were the Fed GDP nows for quarter 2? Let me look this up. No, they're saying 2.2%. So the latest estimate for second quarter is 2.2% growth. That's probably because of the tariff diminishment, I'm guessing. 2.2% growth. Probably from tariff diminishment, but who knows, man? We'll see. Very flat market right now. Very sideways, rangy market. Minus 3.4%. That's way too much. Sorry, Sam. I think you're wrong, sir. I don't know. The Fed minutes report yesterday seemed really stagflation heavy. Like, we had high inflation. We also had weak economic forecasts for the next few years. Although they do think inflation is going to get better by 2027. The FOMC minutes report showed that the FOMC still very much fears turning inflation, like inflation getting worse, as well as weakening GDP. So to me, it seemed a lot like that. But the market honestly reacted pretty positively to the Fed minutes report. So nonsensical sometimes. All right, we're still rebounding in this range here. Inflation is going to be worse for a decade. What do you mean worse? The natural state of inflation is that it goes up over time. To show you this, it's pretty easy. So let's say you got 100K. And let's say the average inflation for a year or for over a 10-year period is 3%. So that means you're going to lose about 3% in price buying power every year on average, right? Over a 10-year period, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You lose about 25% of your buying power. Over a 20-year period, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You lose almost 50% of your buying power. In a 30-year period, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you lose about 60%. So over time, with inflation, if you do not hedge your money into something, and this is why I always tell people, look, I'm not an investment professional. Market might crash tomorrow. Don't copy me. But if you do not hedge your money into something that goes up over time, you are going to lose money to inflation in a significant way. Not technically lose money, but your buying power is going to dwindle over time if you do not invest your money into something. Now, you can invest your money into real estate, you can invest your money into stocks, you can invest your money into gold, you can invest your money into bonds. All of them have pros and cons. Some are passive, some are less passive. Some have big compounding effects, others don't. And so whichever one you want to choose is up to you. And that's what you want to figure out in terms of what kind of investor are you. You could buy bonds. Bonds are going to pay you, if a 10-year Treasury bond right now is going to pay you about 4.5% a year. So that is going to be about $4,500 a year times 10. You're going to make about $45K out of $100K, about 45% over a 10-year period. And this doesn't really necessarily include compounding. You could compound it if you want to. But that'll hedge against inflation to a certain extent. And you'll probably make a little bit of money. The S&P 500 gives you about... the S&P 500 gives you about 8%, 9% a year. And so if we do the same compounding, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. In 10 years, in theory, you should have roughly $240,000 with a 100K investment into the S&P 500. Now, this is not guaranteed. If the market crashes at an inopportune time, you're still going to be in trouble, and that's why it's a little bit more risky of a thing. It's not guaranteed like bonds, the example we just gave. It's less guaranteed. Market could crash anytime, you don't freaking know, but on average, including crashes, it averages about 9 to 10% a year. You could do real estate, which averages a little bit less if it's a rental property. Like appreciation averages about 4% a year. So if you got a $250,000 property, it's going to go up about 0.4%. Oh wait, that's the wrong math. It's going to go up about 0.4% a year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Over a 10-year period, you know, $250,000 property in theory might turn into like a $370,000 property. If it's a rental property, let's say you make $2,000 a month from that $250,000 property, that's going to go up about 4% a year as well. Still the wrong formula. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So your rental income will go up 50% in that 10-year period as well. So there's a lot of ways to hedge against inflation. But if you don't hedge against something, or if you don't hedge with something, your buying power is going to be diminished over time. And that's why look, I hear people say, oh, listen, guys, if you invest $10,000 now, in 20 years, that $10,000 is going to be $300K. What they don't tell you is in 20 years, $300K is not going to be nearly as much buying power as it is today. And so it might sound like a big number today. It might not be enough to live off of in, however long. So just understand the nature of inflation over time. All right, guys, we got 20 minutes left. 20 minutes. Again, not an investment professional. Figure it out. Can't guarantee anything. I aim for 15% a year. I aim for 50, 100, 2,000% a year, bro. I might aim for it. It doesn't mean I'm going to get it. I'd love 15% a year, but the best investors in the world might make 15 or 20%. And so maybe that's you. I hope it is. Good luck. Hey, what's up, Faye? Good morning. Yeah, I mean, there's some risk to the 10-year treasuries, but it's not a lot. And I've said it once, I'll say it again. If the U.S. government does not pay out its treasuries and fails, there's bigger problems than your bonds not paying out, In that situation, we're going to have different values for things for sure, so it won't matter as much. It'll matter just in a different way. Burke. Yeah, Burke's good. We're very sideways. We're up on the day, but I kind of stopped trading as much just because I don't really see anything that looks really good here. Nvidia is still creeping around. Slightly under the 200 exponential in the volume weighted average price, but we're looking at it. All right, we're at 675s. Nvidia's pushing up, though. It's at almost 143s. So look at Nvidia rip. This might drag the market up short term. SPY down at 592s, though. The numbers are already out. We have GDP data. We have jobless claims already out. Jobless claims came in noticeably higher than expected in the last time, signaling more people filing for unemployment week to week. The reason jobless claims is such an important metric every single week, the reason jobless claims is important is because it is a more up-to-date look at unemployment. A lot of people consider GDP and unemployment lagging, and they are to a certain extent, but jobless claims is a more quick look, like a more up-to-date look. It's a week-to-week report, so it's more recent. It shows you more recent economic activity, if that makes sense, how many people are filing for unemployment. GDP showed slightly better than the last time at minus 0.2%. Still a negative number, though. So we're still negative for GDP. It's slightly better. We'll see what happens. Nvidia's pushing up, though. Nvidia up to almost 142.75s, bringing the NASDAQ up to 675 with us. Tesla currently at 3,765s here. Looks pretty good. I mean, we got 13 minutes or so until the market opens. Do y'all think the president's going to tweet before the open? I don't know, brother. Maybe. All right, we're up to 682s. Nvidia's still pumping up. Has the plant killer struck again? You mean the plant murderer, Carol? No, but she's the water bill pumper now. She's got her whole setup, dude. She's got like... My water bill last month was $912. So, I got to come up with another nickname for Carol, but she's keeping them alive now. Hey, you know, I'd honestly rather, never mind. I'd rather them just not, never mind. Water bill, almost $1,000. It's kind of stressful. We don't have CPI tomorrow. We have personal consumption expenditure inflation index. Core PCE is what it's abbreviated as. It's an inflation metric that the Fed uses to gauge inflation. Yeah, Faye, the news is big regarding... I mean, they're going to appeal it. And again, I said this earlier, right? So just to break this down one more time ahead of the opening bell. So... The U.S. Court of International Trade ruled that the president exceeded his authority by imposing the tariffs on April 2nd. You know, it invalidated a lot of the tariffs introduced and sparked investor confidence. Market ended up rebounding back up along with Nvidia earnings. I think what he's probably going to do, though, just to be specific here, I think what he's probably going to do is that, number one, this decision invalidated the 10% universal tariffs and other higher rates on specific countries like China, Mexico, Canada. But... in tariffs imposed under other statutes such as Section 232 of National Security and Section 301 of Unfair Trade Practices remain unaffected. And so if these don't end up going through, I think he's going to go back and reverse and go put the tariffs back under the allowable statutes is what I think he's going to do. If the appeal doesn't work, right? So I think he's going to push for it regardless. And we'll see what the market does in that context, or in that case, I should say. But all right, guys, 9 minutes. Yeah, the guys came out here and fixed a leak yesterday. I'm sure the leak is probably what's driving that water bill, but it's still not really fun to have a water bill like that, guys. It's a high freaking bill, man. Goldman Sachs President Waldron says the outlook for investment banking looks good and worldwide pipeline remains strong. All right, chat. 8 minutes. All right, guys, so we're over 675s, I'm going to wait and probably see if the opening bell does anything first before we take any big trades here. Yeah, I mean, we got a pool, but it shouldn't be using that much water. Like, I'm hoping this, like, we got some of the leaks fixed. It was our sprinkler system. And so I'm hoping it fixes things. I don't like this new phone. Oh, well. All right, chat. Market still push it up. Let's see 700 right here. Here's sevens. No, we didn't fill the pool. No, it doesn't include any rentals that I have. No, they're different. All right, chat. We got 5 minutes. I mean, my house is not small. You know, I'm not going to be... I don't want to be too specific. People take it as bragging, but there's a reason the water bill's that high, but it's still kind of crazy to me. But y'all see my mug? All right, chat. We got 4 minutes left. You see my mug? All right, chat. A couple minutes left. I'm looking at Morgan Stanley raises Nvidia price target to 170 from 160. Gemini crypto exchange mines Bitcoin with a Cybertruck. Goldman Sachs CEO says we are watching for second and third order impacts in markets. There's less fiscal headroom in the world now than in 2020. He said, I expect tariff court case could be heard by the Supreme Court. He said that market rightly shifting to U.S. fiscal questions. U.S. economy and consumers showing tremendous resilience. Effective funds rate hasn't changed, though. All right, so we got this big dip now. I would short this, but we're 3 minutes into the open. So I'm just going to, or 3 minutes before the open. So I'm just going to wait here, I think. Hey, sorry, Mello. Good luck, bro. Working on a massive cable extension project. It's boring. Yeah. Start some businesses, brother. Yeah, so Morgan Stanley raising Nvidia price target, but see, the market's mostly following Nvidia right now. You can see Nvidia with a big up push, down push. We got some other stuff like Tesla. Here's gold. Gold is going up today. Look at gold this morning. Gold's up to 33.40s. So gold's looking good. Let's see if it continues higher, but it's trying. I've never used them, Jose. I don't know, brother. Not really my expertise. Bad tenant stories. I mean, I'm the type of person that I would rather sit on the property and get good tenants and wait for good tenants, then pick bad tenants, you know. You got to look at historicals for their history of renting and see what that looks like first. All right, chat, we got 1 minute left until the market opens. Let's see if we get anything good today at the opening bell. All right, guys, 30 seconds, 30 seconds. All right, here we go. 10 seconds or so, about 12 seconds, really. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here's the bell. All right, so there's the opening bell. Kind of a muted open, not really any big movement so far. We gotta wait and see. So far, markets are mostly up from Nvidia earnings, but there's a turn to the downside here. Pretty significant drop so far since the bell. Nvidia just retraced all the way back up though. Nvidia has the driver to do this, but cracking lows. Tesla coming back up though. Tesla just ripped up here. Wow. Are we gonna bounce at this low? All right, weakness showing up here. We're right around lows. A lot of whippiness though. Look at Nvidia here. Look at that candle, guys. Wow. Look at this red. Showed up. Let's see if there's a reason. The imbalance was mostly positive. Look at this red. Wow. What a 5-minute chart. It's a big red candle, guys. Daniel, you're delayed on the stream. You need to hit the live button next to the play button. My timing's not off. You're delayed. Hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you're fully caught up, chat. Look at this big red brutal action at the opening bell, though. All right, Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang is going to sell 6 million shares. Yep. The total value of Huang's shares based on the stock's Wednesday closing price is $800 million. So again, Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang is going to sell 6 million of his shares in the company. Again, this news just dropped right before the opening bell. But Nvidia is not really reacting negatively to it. Yeah, Tesla Sideways, big range, but sideways. Nvidia's ripping up though. I might buy this dip now in markets to try. All right, so we are in. We're going to sell some of this here, a little bit more, a little bit more. Try to let the last one ride. Maybe add to this now a little bit, but that's it. If we go break even, we'll cut it. Take half off there, protect it. Yeah, we're going to get out there. So we're up 250 in one account. We're up 700 in the other. Nvidia's rising higher though. That's why I bought this, right? Like what I saw here is Nvidia going like this, and so I thought this would retrace. And that's kind of what happened, just because Nvidia is such an influence over markets. If Nvidia starts to rip, market might follow it eventually. There's sometimes some lag in between the two, which can give you some edge as well. But yeah. Sorry, chat. I got you guys somewhere. I was just trying to find the stream. Yeah, I'm gonna wait. Yeah, Jensen's selling shares, but Nvidia actually is up since the open. Like, look at it. All right, Tesla going up is at 366, Nvidia at 142.80s. Market started to turn back down a little bit. Let's see if Nvidia holds here. So the volume weighted average price is right around 142.50. 200 EMA is right around the same spot. So let's see if Nvidia bounces and it causes a bounce back in markets. I kind of want to buy it still, but I'm going to wait. Actually, let me try. I'll buy a little bit on the other account that I have. Just this very small position, though. Right around lows. Make or break it spot here. Okay, there's a little bounce. There we go. I'm going to take a little piece off there. Hold the rest break even. All right, we cut it, break even, made a little bit of the money on the trade, got out the rest exactly, break even, so that's nice. And then we're retracing down, so we were able to avoid some risk. Nvidia just turned. It got really close to the highs of the day, or the highs of market hours, I should say. And then it just turned back downward here. I still think it could bounce, though, in all honesty. Trying to kind of maybe take a little stab at this retracement here if we get one, but I still think Nvidia could bounce. I'm gonna wait. See if Nvidia holds. Definitely some reddish action at the opening bell, but Nvidia bounced a little bit. Still wants to come back up, I think. Let's see. Nvidia's at like this make or break it line at the 200 exponential. On our other account, we got a little trade in. I'll show you it. It's pretty small, but we're kind of flat on the last little piece. Better. Try to hold the rest break even. If we lose here, we're still going to be green on the trade total, I think. But there we go. I'm going to go ahead and cut it right there. It's a little whippy right now. I'm watching Nvidia here. Nvidia's at this make or break it level, right around like, you see the 200 exponential and the VWAP here. These are two kind of milestone levels. And so if we break underneath those, I might short it. If we hold here, I might long it. But and again, you want to help support the channel, check out Top Step. Great way to learn how to day trade when most day traders lose money. Doesn't matter what course you take, who you follow. Most day traders lose. All right, so the Japanese Prime Minister Ishiba held phone talks with the U.S. President and exchanged views on tariff issues. That news just came out. But again, it doesn't matter what course you take, who you follow. Most day traders lose. You can fund your own account trying to look cool in markets and probably lose whatever it is. Or you can try Top Step's funded account. You're still probably going to lose your first year day trading. It's just objectively true regardless of where you go. But frankly, it's a lot cheaper to lose on Top Step. And if you pass it, you still get a 90% split. You still get to keep your first 10K in profit prior to that split kicking in once you're funded. And so the reward is very similar to funding your own account. If you fail, you're out $50 for the base one, $100 for the middle one, $150 for the top one per month. Not the end of the world. A much more reasonable way to learn how to day trade. You're still learning to trade under pressure and learning to trade in that structured environment. Just makes sense. And again, if you want to check it out, I'll put the link up. No PDT in futures. You can day trade the S&P, the Dow, the NASDAQ, the Russell, all that good stuff. Zero commissions if you use my link and go to Top Step X. Zero commissions on Top Step X. There's the link right there. They're an affiliate of mine, though. I'm biased because I get paid by them. Not an investment professional. Understand all this stuff on screen. Can't guarantee anything. Understand CFTC 4.41. Hypothetical or simulated performance. Have limitations. Can't guarantee anything. All right, guys. So the market did break down even more. And it's weird because it's kind of trending away from Nvidia. So we're just waiting here. See if we can find some good action. Looks like Microsoft's one of the ones that's been breaking down. Tesla's at the bottom range as well. Meta's breaking down. So a lot of tech stocks outside of Nvidia breaking down. Google's kind of flat. Netflix is red. Netflix is very red, giving some back. AMD dipping down a little bit as well. We got this 525 level that might hold up though, and Nvidia is still rising. All right, so Japan's prime minister said, quote, "There is no change in the stance of creating a win-win relationship. They exchanged views on tariff issues, discussed diplomacy and the economy and security, initiated the call." Japan initiated this call, and they think he and we think, let me see how they phrase this. I don't know who phrased this. Thinks he and the president deepened understanding. So the prime minister thinks he and the president deepened understanding is what I meant to say. Aim is to create jobs through investment. They could visit. Yeah. So that is the news this morning. I'm going to buy up this dip a little bit here. One contract here. We'll see if we bounce at 525. So we might add one more to it, but it's going to be small. Ultimately looking for a longer term reversal here. We might add one down here and that's it. No more than this. I'm going to cut this a little bit. We bounced after breaking the area here, so I just want to hold this and wait. I'm going to try to add to this here. All right, so we just added double the size. We're right back to where we're green. I'm going to reduce the add we just did just to protect it. I'll limit my risk some here. And now I'm going to cut it because that looks weak. So we've lost like very small amount right there. We might try to buy again. I'm going to wait though. Nvidia's breaking down actually. Hold on, let me wait for that. Nvidia's looking kind of sketchy. And if Nvidia starts following the market down with Netflix and all the other ones, it's bad. We are seeing a pretty big surge back up here, chat. A pretty big surge back up. We ended up making some more. So one account we're up about, both accounts were almost up exactly $600 today. I was going to buy, but so what happened was that Nvidia started to turn. So Nvidia broke under those two milestone levels we were speaking about earlier. And so I'd rather just wait. Still looking too high percentage that it's going to break down. How are you selling partials on Top Step X? I'm trading micro contracts, Adrian. And so I'm trading the micro NASDAQ, which means that like 10 micro NASDAQs equal 1 mini. GDP was better than expected, trader, so it came in at minus 0.2% versus the last time minus 0.3%. So it was better than expected and better than last time. Jobless claims is the one that really negatively impacted things. It came in noticeably higher, meaning more people filed for unemployment week to week than expected, as well as more than last time as well at 240K. So yeah, no, I don't think it was super good, trader. I think it's just, yeah, I think it's just okay. Yeah, so we're 20 minutes into the open. Tomorrow we have PCE inflation data too. Look at the market breakdown here, chat. And again, this is why these milestone levels for Nvidia are so important. Now look, here's the 200 EMA for volume weighted average price kind of cluster here. Once we significantly and meaningfully break underneath that, you can kind of see how it changes the trend of everything. I mean, everything else is kind of breaking down outside of Nvidia. So Nvidia just kind of jumped on board the breakdown here. Meta's down, Microsoft's down, Tesla's down, Google's down, Netflix is down, AMD is down. Here's 21.5s though. This is a big like statistical level. So I could buy this up, but I think I'm just gonna sit tight on this here maybe. Too much weakness showing up. Yeah, C3 AI and Salesforce had earnings yesterday. 260 for Salesforce now. It's had a pretty big breakdown after the opening bell as well. C3 AI is up a lot. It's almost $30 a share. So. Yeah, coin's up, but Bitcoin, is coin going up right now? Coin's down since the opening bell. Coin just follows Bitcoin a lot of the time. Top Step, they give you a 50K demo, 100K demo, 150K demo, depending on which one you sign up for. If you can pass their test, usually it's a 2 to 3 ratio. So like on the 50K one, you got to make 3K in profit on the demo without losing 2K first, following their rules. If you do that, they fund you 90% split. You get to keep your first 10K in profit. If you fail, you lose what you pay for it. So it's kind of like a cheaper way to enter the market. You got to follow rules. Rules are a little bit more strict, of course, than if you funded your own account. But I think considering you can get exposure to markets and potentially take payouts for $50, I think it makes sense. You know, great way to learn. You still got some risk. You're learning to trade under pressure, just not the full extent. But again, you want to confirm it all with them. I can't guarantee anything. Check out them. Not an investment professional, and I'm biased because I'm an affiliate of theirs. But you know, I think it's genuinely good to learn in that environment versus funding your own account and risking that for your first year. It's just futures. But in the futures market, you can day trade the S&P index, the NASDAQ index, the Russell index, the Dow index, gold, currencies in some places. All right, guys. So we got some data going out at 10. We got pending home sales expected at minus 0.9%, minus 0.9% for pending home sales. So we'll stick around and wait for that drop too. Yeah, I mean, most day traders lose SO. I mean, that's pretty standard. I'd rather lose a funded account program than lose a 10K, 5K, whatever funded account. I've done both. It's a lot easier to lose the 50K funded account. Doesn't feel good, and that's why it's like it's a middle ground, right? And I think that's useful. All right, chat. We have 5 minutes. No, there's no maximum time frame, but it is a monthly subscription, Altuve. Again, the Fed GDP now for the current quarter of quarter two is now 2.2% growth. We'll see if they update this. The next one is tomorrow on Friday, May 30th. Until existing home sales drops. It's not a big report, but we're going to cover it anyway, regardless, like we do. All right, so Nvidia surpasses Microsoft to become the world's most valuable company by market cap. Yeah, so Nvidia surpasses Microsoft and becomes the world's most valuable company by market cap. Bank of Security, B of A raises price target on Nvidia to 180 from 160, maintains buy rating. Market's coming back a little bit. Coinbase rebounding. Tesla bouncing back up a little bit. Microsoft bouncing back up a little bit. Meta is as well. So is Netflix. So looking at our poll numbers, we asked people bullish or bearish. 64% are bullish. 36% were bearish today out of about 2,000 votes. All right, so we rebounded it. Look at this drop here, chat. Wow. What if we're going to keep getting like a retracement back up? But man, what a brutal drop. We ended up making another little gain buying this dip at 5s on our other account. So now we're up about 11 on that, 6 on the other one. All right, Chad, we got 2 minutes. Again, some of these are combine accounts. We're trying to get funded on our new one and our funded accounts. We're kind of switching over to the new dashboard on Top Step, but Tesla's kind of flat. Amazon touched 210. Netflix honestly broke down a lot. It's still around $1,200, but Netflix honestly had almost no reaction to. Hey, look. So Netflix has been one of those companies that, again, my guess is because they're getting into live sports, has just flew up to almost $1,200. Not really much of a pullback from the tariffs for Netflix. So it's dipping down today. While it's significant, it's not the end of the world. A lot of stuff still turning red here, though. Look at this dip back down. Nvidia is one to watch as well. All right, so here we go. We got existing home sales dropping in about a minute. We're going to jump short here, see if we can ride a little bit of momentum back down. I don't think existing home sales is going to influence this at all. We got a nice breakdown already. We could probably hold the rest break even. We're going to have to cut it pretty quick there. Small little loss. GDP was minus 0.2%. Minus 0.2%. All right, so here goes existing home or pending home sales. Expected at minus 0.9. We got 30 seconds. $15 seconds or so. Again, hit the live button. A lot of people are like, oh, you're delayed. You have to hit the live button or put it in 2x speed. All right, guys, expected at minus 0.9%. Pending home sales. Last time it was a positive 6.1%. Here's the drop, 3, 2, 1, and minus 6.3%. Much more negative pending home sales than expected at minus 6.3% versus minus 0.9% expected. Way worse pending home sales than expected here. Minus 6.3%. versus minus 0.9% expected. Wow. Minus 6.3%, chat. Wow. Much worse. I don't think that's a good sign for things as well, although a lot of people would agree house prices need to correct. Interesting. Nobody could buy a house at 6.98% or wants to. Yeah, I mean, I feel you. But well, listen, guys, I appreciate you guys joining me today. We're going to be back tomorrow bright and early. Tomorrow at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, we have PCE core inflation data going live. So just be ready, be careful. We'll see what that looks like. But yeah, we got PCE core inflation dropping live tomorrow, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. It's a big report. It's inflation in a context of markets that genuinely fears inflation, as well as economic weakness, pending home sales coming in low. Fed minutes report showed a little stagflation yesterday. Nvidia earnings, but a lot of stuff turning at the market open today. And so tomorrow we got PCE inflation going live. I'm going to go ahead and cut this one and get out of here. I love you all. Have a great day. Be safe in this market, chat. Be safe in this market. Yeah, have a great day. Again, be back tomorrow bright and early. Be ready. I love you all. Have a great day. Remember, guys, not an investment professional. Don't copy me. I have no freaking idea what I'm talking about. Might be wildly wrong about anything I say. Don't copy me. Not an investment professional.